Good evening and welcome to tonight's Festival 2016 webinar. We're going to be spending a little time this evening going over one item related to housing, several items related to some new features in the Integra Planner related to Festival, and some instructions for the introductory videos that we're going to be using for Festival 2016. As with our earlier webinars, the slides and a recording of this evening's webinar will be available on the website tomorrow. And we are expecting up to 45 attendees. So we will be leaving you all in muted mode, but you have the ability to type in questions within the control panel on your screen. So feel free to do that, and we will respond to your questions as we go. As always, should we miss a question, please email it to us after the presentation and we will get back to you. A couple of introductions. My name is Robin Godfrey. I'm the Executive Director of GALA Choruses. Our other presenters this evening will be Sue Bell. She is our Member Services Director, and Chris Denning, who is the programmer with Integra Planner. A special thanks to Chris, who is located in London, so it's, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning there for him. All right, our first topic this evening is just one item related to housing. And for those of you who were present for our housing webinar or have reviewed those slides and recordings, you'll recall that the gentleman from Convention Housing Partners, our housing assistants, indicated that for those choruses who handle housing as a group, who go in and make a group reservation, once you go through that initial step of making your first room request, they had indicated that they would send you a spreadsheet that they would want you to complete to describe who you want in what rooms. So this is simply an example of what that spreadsheet's going to look like. It asks you initially for the hotel, your chorus's name, how many people you're putting in a room, whether you want that to be a 1 or 2 bedded room, and then you just keep working your way across with the name of the primary guest and their check-in information and their credit card information. And then you only need credit card information for one person to hold the room. And then it goes on across the spreadsheet asking for the names and arrival and departure dates for the roommates, which isn't spelled right, but that's okay. The only important thing about this spreadsheet is understanding that you must keep all the information related to a single room within that row. So you just keep working your way across the columns and all the information for a particular room goes in the same row. So you show primary guest, roommate 1, if there's going to be a roommate 2 and a roommate 3, you just keep working your way across the spreadsheet. And they've correctly completed a row, so you have an example to follow on the top row of the spreadsheet. All of this is utterly irrelevant to you if you are a chorus where each singer makes their own room reservation. The only people who care at all about this spreadsheet are the people who book the housing for the entire chorus through one central process and assign people to rooms. Housing opens at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. on Monday, January 18th. I've had a few emails asking me if we really mean 8 p.m. Yes, we do. It is intended to make the process fair for those folks on the West Coast. The URL to make hotel reservations is shown there. That's going to take you to the website that we showed you on the housing webinar slides back in whenever it was we did that, October or so. All right, before we leave this, Sue, can you feed me any questions that have come in related to housing?
Yes. Someone's asking if they need to provide names in rooms other than the primary guests. And yes, you should include the names, but you only need one credit card number.
Correct. You can
Also,
change
there's a
them at a later
question.
date if you need to, but you can't
Yes.
pull rooms out of inventory and not assign real people into the rooms. If something changes
Submit
later
a
and
fake name.
Mary's not going and Sue's going to fill in that room, that's fine. You can make those changes, but you do need to put real people into the rooms.
Right. Another question, can people receive the group housing spreadsheet in advance of housing registration opening so that they can begin to prepare?
Absolutely. Sue will have that posted for you tomorrow on the website. See how I get things done?
Yep.
Sue will do that for you.
But of course. Um,
All right.
Somebody else asking whether they can add the names and credit card number within 3 days.
Yes.
Yes, you can, and then you can always go back and change it. So make sure you get that in within the 3 days initially, and then you can always go back and change it. And one more question, can we use our Chorus credit card to pay for each room when doing group booking?
Yes. You can.
Yes. If we make a reservation for 5 nights now, but change it to 3 nights, will they have to pay for the extra 2 nights? No, not as long as you make that change with convention housing partners before they release all the information to the hotels, or if you make the changes with the hotel before anybody checks in.
Yeah, each of the hotels has a slightly different cancellation policy. So if you're looking at canceling nights, say we're talking about we're in mid-June or so when you're making that decision, you'll want to check the hotel you're staying at's cancellation policy. It may be 72 hours before check-in, it may be 48 hours before check-in. So if it's that close to festival when you are deciding to cancel nights or an entire reservation, make sure you check your hotel's cancellation policy.
Right. And generally, charges will not be applied until checkout, but a cancellation policy may be in effect before that. We have another question. When will special requirements for accessibility be submitted? Actually had that question a few times via email, and there is, when you go into the hotel reservation site and select the type of room you want, one of the options is an ADA compliant accessible room. So you will have that option when you're selecting your rooms. if you have any questions about that, you can either email me or you're free to contact Convention Housing Partners directly. If the hotel we want is full, will one be assigned? Yes.
No, it doesn't
All
work
the
quite
available,
that
no,
way.
not
Uh,
assigned.
when you
Yeah,
go
not
into
assigned.
the website, if the hotel you're looking for is out of rooms, it simply will not appear when you go in and indicate what your arrival and departure dates are. The website displays for you the list of hotels who have rooms available on those nights. So if the hotel you want is full, you simply aren't going to see it come up in that menu.
Yeah, the reservation site will function very much like a Travelocity or Expedia or Hotels.com or Trivago. All available rooms will be available on the website in real time when you log in, and you choose from all the available rooms. If you're unsure of the number of rooms needed, can you book an approximate number of rooms? Yes, but you will need a credit card number for each room you book.
And you're going to have to put real people's names into the rooms. So you can't just go in and pull an endless number of rooms out of the system and not actually have real people set up to stay in them.
Right.
All right,
share nicely.
let's head on here. Sue, why don't you take us through the some features that have been added to the organization administrator dashboard in the Integra Planner?
Yep. If you've logged on to your organization administrator dashboard, you've probably noticed that it has a new look, and perhaps you've noticed that there are a couple new features. Chris has been very hard at work enhancing the system, and we like the changes. So now when you go to your organization administrator dashboard, you will have an option. The registration button has always been there, but you'll see a new button for personal dashboard, and we'll look at that in more detail in a minute. And then, as usual, you can scroll down to your chorus information, and the buttons look a little differently now, but all your options are laid out for you. You can look at your organization details and update those if you're an administrator. You can look at the other administrators, edit those. You can look at the list of members. You can register people. You can pay invoices. And the new button there, oh, there's also a button for membership dues, which the festival liaisons are not usually responsible for. That usually falls to the treasurer or the executive director, but it's there for all administrators. And the new button is the registration status, which is our next slide. Next slide. Thank you.
Yep.
So this is the new registration status, and we will be adding more things to this checklist as we get closer and closer to festival. But you'll see everything you need to have completed prior to festival will be listed here and checked off when it's complete. That includes your musical program, your whether you want a banner, how many singers you have registered, everything you need to know about your festival status will be in this report. And it's a work in progress, but everything eventually will be on there.
I think one of the things we wanted to highlight here in that center section on members, there's a bar that's telling you if you have registered members who have not filled in the registration questionnaire. A lot of the choruses where they centrally registered their singers, the singers have not yet gone back in and completed the registration questionnaire. That's going to limit what information will be available to them through the smartphone app and in their own personal dashboard screens within Integra. So there's a lot of information available to them about the things that they're participating in if they go in and fill in that registration questionnaire. So we'd really appreciate it if the festival liaisons, when they see on their dashboard that they've got members who have not filled in the registration questionnaire, if they would encourage them to do that.
Right. We'll also need you to make sure that all your registered members are listed. If they're not, the most likely reason is that they have not made that affiliation with as a member of a given chorus. So, you know, just as a general heads up, you'll want to make sure that everyone chorus is showing up, everyone in your chorus who's registered is showing up on your membership report. Okay, any questions about the new Integra pages? Okay, and
let me just clean up a couple of housing questions before you move on to the personal dashboard. A question about whether you can indicate a second or third choice hotel for group housing. I don't think so. I think the way that that process is set up, you go in and make a reservation at the hotel that you're interested in, and then you get a communication back from Convention Housing Partners. So I don't think the mechanics really work in terms of providing second and third choices. If they come back and tell you there aren't 20 rooms still available at the Hyatt Regency, then you'll just go back and forth with them until you find a property that you're interested in that has the number of rooms you want. Another question about credit cards. You do need to provide a credit card number. Nothing is going to be charged against it, but you do need to provide a credit card number to make a registration, to make a hotel reservation.
And there may be a couple of hotels that will put a hold on your card for the amount of the room. It won't actually be charged, but there may be a hold, and that's up to the individual hotel.
But not until the reservations aren't released to the hotels until sometime in June. So.
Right, about 2 weeks before the start of festival. We have a question whether the blockbuster and special events will appear on the new dashboard. Yes, we are still inputting that data into the system, but as it is added, you will see a schedule for your chorus and you as an individual if you've expressed an interest in participating in some of the individual performance options. So you will see those personal things on your new personal dashboard. This will be the new homepage for everyone. When you first log into the system, you will automatically be directed to your personal dashboard. And from there, you can go to your organization administrator dashboard, or anywhere else you want to go within the system. But you'll be landing here on your personal dashboard. And as you can see in our example, this person does have their schedule of events showing up. That will also be visible on the mobile app. So everyone will have their schedule on their personal dashboard. If you're an organization administrator, you'll also see the chorus schedule.
Chris is sending a note through that says the organization admins go to the organization admin dashboard when they log in.
Beg your pardon, Chris. Sorry about that, folks.
Let's take a couple of other questions. We've got one that says, I noticed on my dashboard that it says there's an unpaid invoice, but it was paid. How do we fix that? Just email memberservices@galachoruses.org and Sue will resolve that for you.
Most likely it's just a little bit of lag time between when the delegate sent in it or the chorus sent in a check and the time we process it. But we'll follow up on all those.
Another question that says, if a singer is registered but is not showing up in a subgroup, how would you edit that? I think that probably means they're not linked to that subgroup. Again, let Sue know and she can track that problem down for you.
And a general question that people have asked is, you may see for a particular member that they're not registered and not paid. That's kind of a logical thing. And of course, if they're not registered, you would expect that they haven't paid for a registration. So no worries there. If they're not registered, they're not registered.
If we have another question that says, I tried to use the free registration for every 20 paid. I see how to select it, but it still shows that person as not paid. How do we use this?
Yeah, the 1 for 20 complimentary registration, you need to tell me. That's something I need to do on the back end. So just let me know who in the chorus should receive that complimentary registration, and I'll take care of it. You will be able to use your pre-purchased credits to register somebody, but for the complimentary one, just let me know.
Okay, I think we're caught up with questions. Is there anything else we need to cover on the personal dashboard? This one's a little creative. Someone seems to be singing with both GMC Houston and BGMC, which is going to be a bit of a challenge to catch the rehearsals each week, but nonetheless it demonstrates the ability to be doing multiple things throughout the week. All right, we're going to turn it over to Chris to talk about the registration credit marketplace. Chris, it's yours.
Great, hi there. So we put the Integra marketplace together mainly to provide a way for people who can no longer go but have registered to sell their registration on to someone else instead of cancelling and asking for a refund. What we're trying to do is not produce an eBay site where it's all online, payment is taken. We're primarily trying to put sellers in touch with buyers, all within the Integra system, so that if someone comes in wanting to register, then they're prompted to go and look at the marketplace to see if they can take over someone else's registration. So it puts sellers and buyers together. They can then communicate, sort out payment, and then finally they come back in to the system, confirm the transfer, and the system will show the person who can no longer go as cancelled, and the new person who has bought the registration will show as registered. And this all happens, this is all self-service within the system, and it avoids GALA staff or course administrators needing to be involved to facilitate this. I will just point out that a person who is registered must be paid up. They must have paid for their registration before they can list it for sale in the marketplace. So let me take you through step by step how people access the marketplace and how the seller and the buyer go through the process. Incidentally, if you look at the system right now, it's not turned on, but after we finish this presentation, I'll be turning it on. At that point, whenever anyone goes to the registration menu, they'll see a new banner that you can see at the top of the slide there, giving a brief explanation about the marketplace and a button that takes you there. The marketplace itself is structured into 3 tabs. The first is the listings of what's for sale that you might want to purchase, and the other 2 tabs, if you're actually involved in the marketplace, what are you in the process of trying to buy, or what are you in the process of selling. So let's go through the process step by step. If I'm a delegate, I've registered, I've paid, I can go into the marketplace, go onto the selling tab, and if I have a registration that I can sell, I will see it listed there. I can press the button to list it. I get a pop-up that you can see at the bottom of the slide, and I can name the price that I'm asking for this. Now, typically we expect that you might want to ask for slightly less than people could buy the same registration straight from GALA, otherwise why would they buy it from you? If you've bought, for example, an early registration at $225, the list price now is $265 for a regular registration. Maybe you want to ask somewhere in the middle. So you name your price, you press the button, you list it for sale, and it will then appear on the items for sale. You can see it there on this slide. You can see how it appears on your selling tab. It says you're in the process of selling this. You don't yet have any interested buyers. If we can go to the next slide, if I'm a potential buyer, I would go in, create my user account in Integra, whether I'm going to register outright or whether I'm looking at the marketplace. When you get to the registration menu, you see that banner which I showed you before. You can go to the marketplace, and by default you see the items that are available for sale. So in this example, we can see that someone is selling a senior delegate registration and someone is selling a regular delegate registration. So if I want a regular delegate registration, I might say, okay, I'm going to offer to buy Luke Picard's registration at $200. So you would click the Make Offer button on that row. Again, you get a confirmation dialog that pops up, and then you go ahead and make that offer. I can see now as a buyer on my buying tab, I have put in an offer with Luke Picard. There may be several registrations available. I may put several offers in because I'm not guaranteed to get any of them. When I've done that, the seller will receive an email confirming to them that they have an interested buyer, and the seller will get an email for every buyer that expresses an interest. And this email gives the seller a brief summary of what they need to do. Basically, they get the email address of the potential buyer. They can either contact the first buyer straight away and sell it to them, or they might want to wait a few days, see who else is interested. If they want, they can even try and raise the price and say to them, who's going to make me the best offer? Once they have decided outside the system by email who they're going to sell it to and for how much, and they've negotiated payment by PayPal or check or whatever, then they need to go back into the system and confirm who they have sold their registration to. So if we can have the next slide, please. So the seller maybe prompted by the email, or maybe just going in back to look at the system in the marketplace on their My Selling tab, they can now see a list of everyone who has expressed an interest in buying this registration. In this example, we just have one person, and if you press the accept button, then basically you're saying you've sold the registration to this person, you've received payment, you're happy. You need to press that accept button to make sure that the system transfers that registration across. So just in summary, it's really the seller having had all these offers to buy, one or more offers, they're in control, they can decide who they want to sell to. It may be that it's easier for them to sell to someone in the same chorus or someone that they know personally, but it's up to them. As I said, payment is done outside the system, but then the final thing that they must do once they've received payment is actually go in and confirm who they've sold it to, and the registration will be transferred across. And this just shows the final stage of the process where they've clicked on the accept button of the buyer that they've sold to. There's a confirmation dialog explaining exactly what's going to happen, and they can press yes and complete the transfer. And the buyer who is successful gets a confirmation email like this. If there were any other buyers, clearly they are not successful, and the system will send them emails saying, unfortunately, you weren't successful. I haven't got an example of that on the slide, but I'm sure you can imagine. So, any questions?
Yeah, let's see what we got here.
We do have a question about private arrangements of transferring credits outside the marketplace.
Well, if you have already agreed to someone to transfer the registration, you still need to use the marketplace to actually do the transfer, because the point of the marketplace is to avoid having to contact GALA to ask them to do a transfer on your behalf. But it's completely fine if you've already arranged it. Just go in and mark it for sale, and they'll offer it immediately, and then you can accept it immediately. Just because you put it in the marketplace, you're not effectively forced to offer it to the highest bidder. It's just that you need to put it in the marketplace so that it's all recorded and the actual registration in the system will be transferred across.
Seamless.
A question going back to housing. Do you have to be registered for the festival to register for housing? No, you do not.
But why wouldn't you want to come to festival?
There are no transfer fees so long as you're doing it yourself within the marketplace. There is no cost.
One of our members is a senior who accidentally registered for the higher price. Should she sell her registration and re-register, or is there a way to change her to a senior at the lower rate? It would be easier on the two of us in the office if you would sell that through the marketplace, but if you just want to email me, I can take care of that.
Just put a sticky note next to your computer that says, email Sue. This is really fun for me. I had to do this all last festival, so it's really fun for me to be able to say, email Sue. Actually, Joel did a lot of this last time, to be fair.
Yes, he did. All
right. So that's the story of the updates to the Integra Planner and the transfer marketplace, which many thanks to Chris. I know it's going to save us untold hours, but I think it's also a fairly slick process for the users as well.
Cheers, Chris. We do have one more question about the marketplace, wondering if there are email alerts for people looking for registrations. Chris,
There are no alerts.
will people get alerts?
There are no alerts saying that a new listing has appeared. The only alerts we've put in are when a seller receives an offer to buy, or when the seller decides who to sell to. So there are alerts for people actively buying and selling, but there are no alerts about new listings.
All right, the last thing we wanted to cover this evening relates to festival video introductions. So again, if you were not on one of the earlier calls, we are making a change for Festival 2016 to the process of introducing your chorus as you come on stage at festival. Rather than having someone standing there reading a hard copy introduction, you're going to prepare a very short 1-minute video to introduce your chorus, and that video will be played as you are coming on stage. So you're going to be submitting a 1-minute or less video to the email address shown there before April 2nd. We'll be playing those video introductions as you come on stage, but we are also anticipating making them available through the smartphone app so that as people are planning their personal festival agenda, if they're not familiar with a particular group and they just want to see something about them, they'll be able to click on that within the smartphone app, and it'll take them out to YouTube, where they'll be able to view the introduction that that group has submitted. We don't have a screen in the stage theater, which is where many of the ensemble performances are going to be. So we will still be doing the ensemble introductions the old way. So ensembles do not need to submit a video introduction. We've listed some time and technical guidelines. We recognize that choruses have access to varying types of resources. So production qualities are going to vary, and that is perfectly fine. You can shoot the video on a smartphone, and that's just fine. What we encourage you to do is use the video as a chance to showcase what makes you unique. And we'll have these instructions up on the website, and you can follow the link shown here to look at a couple of examples of introduction videos. This process was used for the Various Voices Festival in Dublin in 2014. So you have some examples to look at of what different groups did, and we've intentionally picked a couple of the more elaborate ones and a couple of the very simple ones so that you can see examples of all different types of video introductions. Couple of ideas to consider. You could feature your chorus singing a greeting. You could interview members of your chorus. You could tell about the history of your chorus, or you could talk about the music that you're going to be performing at festival. There are any number of different things that you could choose to do in your introduction video. General guidelines: they must be less than 1 minute in length. And we provide some formats and methods of submission. You can send a YouTube link to that email address, communications@galachoruses.org. If you have questions about how to upload a video to YouTube, we've provided a link to some instruction. You could send a Vimeo link of your video, and similarly there we've provided a link to instructions. or you can share your video with our communications folks using Google Drive. And again, we've provided a link to instructions. So YouTube, Vimeo, or Google Drive are the three ways you can get your video to us. If you have any questions,
You are the queen of all media.
if you have any questions about your video or how to get it to us, you can send those to Paul Cruz, who is our communications specialist, at the email address shown there. And any other questions, go to Sue at memberservices@galachoruses.org. So let's see what...
We do have a couple of questions about the videos.
Okay.
One person is asking if the time of the video counts against your chorus's performance time. Well, that's one of the reasons why we're keeping it to a minute. And remember that these videos will be played as your chorus is taking the stage. So theoretically, it depends on how long it takes all of the singers to get into place. Another question, whether ensembles can still send in a video, even though they're not required to, so that it can be uploaded to YouTube. Sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Somebody's wondering whether we'll be discussing festival banners. Not tonight. We're still working on those details, and we'll make them available as soon as we can. That will be one of the items that will be added to your checklist.
Let's just talk about all three of those things for a minute: extra rehearsals, consigned merchandise, and festival banners. So for anybody on the call who is new to this whole process, we have a standardized festival banner that employs the festival logo and your chorus name, and you have the option to purchase one. We fly them along the 16th Street pedestrian mall during festival. It is part of what creates that festival village kind of feel as you're moving from your hotel over to the performing arts complex, and you're walking through this kind of field of gala chorus banners. It's pretty cool. I think they were $120 in 2012. We're still awaiting information back on the costs for making them and hanging them. So as soon as we have that information, we'll get that out to you. You do get them back at the end of the festival. We have to let the city's approved hanger take them down. So we will ship them back to you after the festival. Again, it is entirely optional. You can choose to purchase one or not. As soon as those details are available and the form is ready, we will let you know, and it will be one of the things that you'll be able to see on your dashboard, whether you have purchased your banner or not. And you'll be able to make that purchase through the Integra Planner as well. On consigned merchandise, the program is going to run again exactly the same as it did in 2012. If you want to sell merchandise at the Gala store, which will be in the Buell Theater lobby as it was last time, you are welcome to do that. We handle consigned goods for a flat fee of $100 for up to 100 items. There is no percentage of your selling price taken. So you pay $100 to consign up to 100 items and you get the full selling price. If you want to consign more than 100 items, then it's $1 per item in addition. Again, as soon as we have the arrangements worked out with the shipping company, who receives these goods and then brings them over to the Performing Arts Complex at the start of festival. We'll get that paperwork out to you, but basically you will fill in a form that says we want to sell 100 CDs, and you'll get instructions back that tell you where to ship your 100 CDs. They go to a warehouse who just consolidates it all for us and then brings it over to the Performing Arts Center. After festival is over, any unsold merchandise will be packed up and sent back to you, and then we will send you a check for the sales of your goods less the cost of shipping your leftover items back to you. And same as the banner, the paperwork for that will turn up in the Integra Planner. We'll send out a notice when it's ready, and you'll be able to track whether you've done that or not in your dashboard, and you'll be able to make the payment for it through the Integra Planner. And again, it is entirely optional. You can choose to or not to consign merchandise. And the extra rehearsal spaces, again, for those who may be new to this process, your tech rehearsal doesn't cost you anything, but you need to understand that it is 15 minutes and you don't get to do much except get your folks onto the risers, do some quick sound tests, and exit. If you want to have a final rehearsal after you get out to Denver where you are actually going through your songs, we can make arrangements for you to have a, depending on the size of the group, if you need a ballroom or if you just need a meeting room with a keyboard, we can do that for you. There is a form to purchase a 1-hour rehearsal, and again, these three things are all going to work the same way. That paperwork will be available on your dashboard. You'll make the payment through Integra, and sometimes it's easier if you wait until you see what hotel you're staying at. And then if the majority of your singers are in one particular hotel, we may be able to set up your rehearsal in a meeting room at that hotel, and that makes it easier. But all three of those things are going to happen through the planner.
We do have a question as to whether those rehearsal times will appear on the dashboards. Yes, as long as you are listed as a member of the chorus, that will appear on your dashboard.
One question that came up earlier that I'm not sure I'm quite buying into had to do with individual singers registrations for things they might want to participate in, like the Classical Masterworks or Naked Man or things like that. I don't know that I'm ready to commit to saying that we will input into Integra 6,000 people's individual items that they are choosing to perform in. Certainly things that are happening at the chorus or ensemble level, I'll commit that we'll get them all entered into Integra. So if your ensemble is performing in the Mosaico blockbuster, that will be entered. If your chorus is performing as part of the opening concert, that'll be entered. But if you as an individual on your registration questionnaire said, yes, I'm interested in participating in the Classical Masterworks, I'll think about it, but I'm not ready to say, yes, we have the capacity to enter that for 6,000 singers.
We do have a question about rehearsal, purchasing rehearsal space. Does GALA set up those rehearsals at the hotels, or should the choruses contact the hotels directly?
We make those arrangements. Actually, the hotels are not permitted to commit meeting space to individual choruses unless we release it. So GALA will make those hotel meeting room arrangements for the rehearsals, and we'll let you know where they're going to be.
There is a cost for the extra rehearsal space, and that will
My
appear
recollection,
on the online.
it was around 100, 120, something like that. It just offsets what the hotels charge us for the meeting room space.
Yeah. We're not looking to make a profit on these, but it does cost us.
And yes, you let us know what hotel you would prefer. So if your people are predominantly staying at the Hyatt Regency, let us know that. I'll make sure there's a place for that on the form. And we will try to set that up for you. It looks like we are caught up with the questions. If there is something we missed or something you think of after we sign off this evening, by all means, go ahead and send the question in to us and we will get you an answer. We really do appreciate the work that you folks are doing as festival liaisons. You can understand that we are expecting well over 6,000 delegates to festival, and questions are filtering in to just one or two people. It's really difficult to keep up, so we sincerely appreciate the work that you are doing to handle as many of these questions for your singing members as you can. Have a great evening. The slides and the recording will be available as quickly as our web mistress can get them up in the morning. And we look forward to talking to you again and seeing you in Denver. Good night.
Night, folks.